appeals and also understand the challenges being faced by the taxpayer while filing the appeals. However, before starting this webinar, I would like to request Mr. Manoj Kapoor, who is a CEO of Taxo.online, to kindly share us the features of the powerful and dynamic tool. Over to you, Manoj.
Thank you, CS Saurabh and our moderator for today's webinar. Hello, friends. Thank you for your participation and showing your interest to know about the salient features of that and USP of the Taxo. I also want to welcome Abhishek Rajaramji and Pradeep Bhai to join today's program. As you are aware that Taxo is very unique online solution on the GST, or you can say the encyclopedia, where your all needs on the GST, like case laws, notifications, circulars, draft reply, queries, updated act rule, commentary, etc. get addressed. Taxo is conceptualized by the leading experts and professionals to keep practice focus approach, and this solution is equally important for all, especially those are having interest in the litigation, because litigation is the key area where we are focusing to more. And one more thing I want to share that Taxo is the only service provider in the market who giving you the updated case laws within 72 hours. Whenever any judgment comes, within 72 hours, you get the judgment on our website after publications. And Taxo keeps you real-time updated digitally on all the aspects of GST. So whatever the dynamic changes is coming into the environment, you get updated himself. And right now we are also running a special promotional scheme due to Holi, and where you can avail a 25% discount. And you can also note down the number of our team member, 60 4 times 9 693426. I'm just repeating 60 number, 4 times 9 693426. If anybody is looking for the demo or subscription, you can contact her. And now I'm not taking too much of time. And once again, wishing you happy Holi. And now over to Saurabh to take today's session forward. Over to Saurabh ji.
Thank you, Manoj ji. I'm sure this powerful and dynamic tool will enable the taxpayers to resolve the queries and also help in research activities related to GST. Now, before starting today's webinar, I would like to give the brief introduction of our panelists. Our first panelist is CA Abhishek Rajaramji, who is a fellow member of ICI and having more than 18 years of experience in indirect taxation. He is also a speaker and deliberated various seminars on VAT, service tax, and GST. He has also authored various books on GST, and his articles have been published over various forums. He is currently executive member of Sales Tax Bar Association, Delhi. Welcome, Abhishek ji. Our next panelist is CA Vardeep Singh ji. He is an associate member of ICI. He has worked with renowned consulting firms like SS Kothari, Mitra & Associates, Bhatia Associates. His core area of specialization is GST, and he has also delivered sessions on some crucial technical aspects of GST law at various levels. We welcome Vardeep ji. Thank you. Now let's start today's discussion wherein we will be taking the queries which have already been received from the participants in advance. Afterwards, we will also be taking the queries which is posted on the chat box on today's webinar. So I request every participant to raise the queries on the chat box. So I'll start with few GST compliances that the taxpayer need to be kept in mind before the closure of the financial year. So I'll start with first, which is application for letter of undertaking for financial year 24-25. As you all know that under the GST law, exports can be undertaken with payment of taxes and without payment, with payment of taxes and without payment of taxes. For undertaking the exports without payment of taxes, the taxpayer needs to execute the LUT on the GST board. Friends, GSTN has already enabled the functionality to apply for the LUT for the financial year 24-25. So it's imperative that all taxpayers who intends to export without payment of taxes in the financial year 24-25 will file the LUT as early as possible. The next compliance which should be kept in mind for the taxpayers is new tax invoice series for the financial year 24-25. As we all know that the Rule 46B mandates the taxpayer to file the new tax invoice series for the financial year 24-25 for undertaking the exports without payment of taxes. For undertaking the exports with payment of taxes, the taxpayer needs to execute the LUT on the GST board. Friends, a tax invoice should have 16 character alphanumeric invoice number, which should be unique for a financial year. So now, when new financial year is on the verge, which is 24-25, it's imperative that the taxpayer should adopt a new invoice series. The third aspect in relation to GST compliance is e-invoice registration for the taxpayer having turnover of more than 5 crores. So in that case, the assessees which have crossed the turnover of 5 crores in the current financial year are required to generate e-invoice from next year onward, which is 24-25. Accordingly, all such taxpayers are mandatorily required to raise e-invoice from 1st April onward. It is pertinent to highlight that non-issuance of e-invoice from the next financial year will impose penal provisions which may extend to 100% of the tax due or 10,000 for each instance of non-compliance. So it is better that every taxpayer should generate the tax invoice from 1st April onward if their turnover exceeds 5 crores. The next requirement is requirement of having 6-digit HSN on the invoice number for the assessee whose turnover is more than 5 crores. In this case also, the assessees whose turnover in the current financial year has exceeded 5 crores are required to generate invoices in the new financial year with 6-digit HSN. So these are some of the key compliances which I have discussed, and I will be discussing more such compliances during this webinar. Now coming back onto the queries relating to how to file first stage appeal under the GST, I'll firstly ask question from Abhishek Rajaramji. Sir, if you can highlight some of the few points that should be kept in mind while filing the appeal under the GST.
Good evening, everyone. The first appeal has to be filed under section 107. So when we start reading 107, it says, a person aggrieved. So what does the person aggrieved mean? Can I say कि मैं इसलिए aggrieved हूँ कि assessing officer ने एक order pass कर दिया which has come with a financial liability? Can I be aggrieved just because there is a financial liability? Answer is no. So I could be aggrieved because the procedure would have not been followed while passing an order in the 307. Or the registration could have been cancelled without listening to me, without providing opportunity of being heard. Or I could be aggrieved because my reply was not incorporated or was not adjusted by the assessing officer. So first, when I think of coming up with an appeal, so that should be why I need to file an appeal. Why I am aggrieved? See, because right to appeal has to be provided in the law, and that is governed by 107. The first thing, why I am aggrieved. Then timelines. One should be very careful with the timeline. Assessee never get benefit while delaying filing of an appeal. So in GST, the timelines is 3 months. The statutory timeline is 3 months. So you have to file an appeal within 3 months. Of course, there is a 1 month condonation period, but that is not your right. That is subject to whether there were reasonable costs beyond your control. And how do the judicial authority understand those costs? So if the cost is not substantial, then extension would not be provided. So two things. First, why you are aggrieved. Then timelines. Third, the forms. Where I have to file. How I have to file. So online appeal, you have to file online. Sorry, online order, you have to file online. When it comes to manual order, the physical order which has been served to you, the order that is not updated on the portal. So appeal against those orders will be filed to hard copies. Then what are the documents to be attached? What are the formats? So we have APL 01 form for common person to file an appeal. Fourth is how I have to pay, whether I have to pre-deposit how much. The pre-deposit is linked with disputed amount. Let's say there's an order of 10 lakh rupees. So 4 lakh is admitted tax out of it. So you have to deposit 4 lakh. Now the dispute is of 6 lakh. Out of this 6 lakh, let's say the tax part is 4 lakh and 2 lakh is interest and penalty. So you have to deposit 10% of that 4 lakh, 40,000. So 4 lakh admitted, 40,000 as a, then remaining 3 lakh 60,000 would be 90% of the disputed tax would be stake. But what about that 2 lakh interest and penalty? As we understand, interest and penalty do not have any independent standing. So that 2 lakh will be automatically stake. Now if someone says, okay, sir, I don't have 10%. So in many of the cases when the assessees have approached High Court also, High Court has said, no, sir, you should pay 10%. Because paying 10% is not very hard amount, it's not substantial amount. By paying 10%, 90% of the disputed tax liability and 100% of the interest and penalty is stayed. You need not to file a separate stay application in GST. It is automatically stayed. And the stay remains till the disposal of the. Last is submissions of hard copies. In case of physical appeal, of course, we will go with physical submission of the documents. When it is an online appeal, for all theoretical purposes, you are not required to submit physical hard copies. But for all practical purposes, I would recommend today also that you should generate a hard copy, sign it, and submit it. So that is the practical aspect. Don't ask me that, sir, law में ऐसा लिखा है, 22 में amendment आ गई थी. I know 22 में amendment आ गई. Theoretically, APL2 should be generated automatically once you file an appeal. But for all practical purposes, what we follow, recently we heard one more phrase, law and judiciary are different. So law और judiciary दोनों में फर्क है. So what is written in the book, टैक्सो की वेबसाइट पर आपको बेयर एक्ट मिल जाएगा, अच्छा अपडेटेड रहता है इनके यहाँ पर, केस लॉस भी मिल जाएंगे. बट when we go with practical things, so practical can be slightly different what we read in the books. Correct. And that is why we call it practical. Correct. Over to you.
So I just want to highlight, mention one point. As you mentioned that appeal is required to file by paying the 10% deposit, and you rightly mentioned that 10% amount may not be as big amount as compared to total amount of tax liability. But there are some cases wherein the appeal amount runs into crores, 10 crores, 50 crores. In that case, 10% is also huge amount. So is there any relief we can sort from higher forums for filing the appeal?
We have an upper cap limit, 25 crore for CGST, 25 crore for SGST, that is 50 crore maximum GST you have to deposit. Or if there is a demand in IGST, then we can go to 75 crore. 25 crore ki limit hai, that's the highest limit for first appeal.
Correct. So I'm asking whether we can get any relief for not depositing that.
If you have a substantial ground, then you can seek relief. अभी तक किसी को नहीं मिली, you can start a new thing.
Okay.
So ऐसा कोई फैक्ट आया नहीं ना सामने. There could be a genuine case also.
Yes, I was talking about that only. If the SSC is having a genuine cause or genuine hardship of not depositing that pre-deposit amount, then we may.
See, when we discuss general things, आप facts बदलते जाइए, answers बदलते जाएंगे. It will keep on changing. You keep on facts, change the facts.
But as of now, we don't have any judicial pronouncement regarding.
See. Let's say when we file an appeal within 3 months, so we say, 3 months plus 1 month extension cannot be provided. Limitation, there is no relief for limitation fact. पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि किसी के साथ कोई प्रॉब्लम होगी तो नहीं फाइल होगी या नहीं दिया जाएगा. That court has to.
That depends upon the facts and case-to-case basis.
Facts of the case, and that court will decide. But when we are discussing about first appeal, what is the power of the commissioner appeal? So at that end, law is clear. He cannot accept appeal without pre-deposit. He cannot extend beyond 1 month condonation. He don't have the power. Court कुछ भी कर सकती है. 226 में they have all power.
In that case, the assessee has to move the higher forums to get the rating. Thank you, sir. So I would also like to ask Vardeep ji if he can add some of the points in relation to that points which needs to be kept in mind while filing the appeal in relation to that, maybe in relation to taking up the grounds or etc.
Hello everyone. First of all, thank you for giving the opportunity. Thanks to Taxo and for the Anyway, regarding grounds, वैसे तो सर ने सब कवर कर लिया, but एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट है जो अभी अगर मैंने लगभग 50 अपील्स फाइल करी है, तो नॉट इवन इन सिंगल केस, नॉट इवन इन फोकस नोटिस और प्री ड्राफ्टेड अपील के पास है, नॉट इवन अ सिंगल केस विदाउट प्रेजुडिस का वर्ड का यूसेज सही नहीं करा. And I want to tell to every professional, every client, everyone who is listening कि इस वर्ड की इम्पोर्टेंस शायद सबसे ज्यादा है while drafting a reply to the show cause notice और while drafting an appeal. अब without prejudice या without prejudice का मतलब क्या होता है? अगर इसका डिक्शनरी मीनिंग निकाले हम, तो डिक्शनरी मीनिंग होता है विदाउट लॉस ऑफ एनी राइट. अब मैं इसको आपको टेक्निकली समझाऊं एक एग्जाम्पल लेके. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप ये मानो आपको एक शोकॉज नोटिस आया. शोकॉज नोटिस में आपको क्लियर नहीं है चीज, और हर प्रोफेशनल ये लिखता है कि द शोकॉज नोटिस इज डेट एंड इट हैज बीन इशूड विदाउट एप्लीकेशन ऑफ माइंड. क्योंकि अब स्टेट अथॉरिटीज का सबको पता ही है कि इट इज एक्चुअली विदाउट एप्लीकेशन ऑफ माइंड बिकॉज इट इज डन बाय द एआई, नॉट बाय द ह्यूमन माइंड. सो देयर इज नो एप्लीकेशन ऑफ माइंड. बट उसके बाद आप रिप्लाई भी कर देते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 3B और 1 का डिफरेंस है, उसके बाद हम रिप्लाई भी कर देते हैं कि 3B में इतना है, 1 में इतना है, नेक्स्ट ईयर हमने उसको एडजस्ट कर दिया, ये है वो है, एंड आप उस रिप्लाई को सबमिट कर देते हो. द प्रॉब्लम अराइजेज इज व्हेन आपके खिलाफ ऑर्डर आया, आपकी एक्शन में डिमांड थी, और अब आप अपील में कहना चाह रहे हो कि इनका जो शो कॉज नोटिस ही डेट था, तो ये प्रोसीडिंग भी गलत है. दिस इज सेकेंडरी, मेरा 3B और 1 में डिफरेंस है या नहीं है. बट एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन है, सेक्शन 160. अगर मैं आपको क्लियर करूं, सेक्शन 160 कहता है असेसमेंट प्रोसीडिंग आर नॉट टू बी इनवैलिड ऑन सर्टेन ग्राउंड्स. सर ये टैक्स कंसेप्ट है जनरल अक्रॉस ऑल ग्लोब, जो कहता है कि अगर आपने किसी चीज पे एक्ट अपॉन कर दिया ना, देन आप उस चीज को इनवैलिड नहीं कर सकते. आपको समझ आ गया ना नोटिस, आप फिर देख क्यों हैव replied on the fact that there is a difference between GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 or any of the ground you have replied it, that is clearly means that you have understood it. Once you have understood it, you cannot say the no. Okay? Then you cannot run on these things. In appeal, you have to run on the actual fact only. अगर आपका actual fact नहीं है तो आप हार जाओगे. अब इसको हम क्या कहते हैं, यहाँ पे without prejudice का वर्ड यूज आता है. Always write your submission and always write I am giving the following submissions which are without prejudice to each other. मतलब they are independent of each other. I am not losing my any right कि मैं इसको wait कह रहा हूँ, तो ये चीज खत्म कर दी जाए. ठीक है. And use words like taking the strong, जैसे आपने लिखा है this is vague, this is not मतलब this is issued without application of mine, and these things you write, this is arbitrary. Then write that taking strong exception of the above and without prejudice, I would like to submit the following things. And then in appeal you will be able to, or if you write in appeal, then in higher authority you will be able to defend or take this point that this notice is vague and you want to quash the order or quash the show cause notice. So this is a very important point which everyone should take care of while filing an appeal. इसके अलावा एक अभी बात हुई कि कोर्ट्स क्या मान रहे हैं क्या नहीं मान रहे. तो इट इज राइटली सेड बाय सर कि कोर्ट कल को मान नहीं जाएगा तो वो एक एक्सेप्शनल केस ही होगा, या फिर वो एक मतलब कोई प्रेसिडेंट नहीं है. ये इसका एग्जाम्पल अभी प्री डिपॉजिट में तो नहीं आया, बट फॉर द रेफरेंस ऑफ ऑल द प्रोफेशनल एंड एवरीवन हु इज लिसनिंग, इसका रेफरेंस टाइम पे जरूर आ गया कि जैसे प्री डिपॉजिट का टाइम है, सॉरी जैसे अपनी फाइल करने का टाइम है 3 मंथ, तो 3 मंथ को पहले तो हम ये समझे अगर आपका ऑर्डर 27 दिसंबर का है तो आपके 3 महीने 27 मार्च को नहीं 26 मार्च को खत्म हो गए. दूसरी चीज ये समझे कि हमारे पास 1 महीने का कॉन्फर्मेशन है. तीसरी बात, क्या ये कोर्ट मान रहा है? तो 3 जजमेंट्स हैं इसकी, जिससे हमें इसका सारा क्लियर हो जाएगा कि कोर्ट की इंटेंशन क्या है। पहली जजमेंट है सुरजीत जायसवाल की, जिसमें इन्होंने बोला कि मैक्सिमम 4 महीने हैं, उसके बाद हम एंटरटेन नहीं करेंगे, बी इट ओवर। दूसरी जजमेंट है काजल दत्ता की, जिसमें इन्होंने बोला कि ठीक है, मेडिकल इमरजेंसी थी काजल दत्ता की, तो इसको अलाउ करा जाए। और तीसरी जजमेंट है अरविंद गुप्ता की, जिसमें इनको कैंसर हो गया था और इसमें एक्सटेंशन मिली। बट अगर आप पूरी जजमेंट पढ़े तो इन्होंने ये साफ लिखा है कि इट शुड नॉट बी सेट एज अ प्रेसिडेंट। बेशक अगर ये दिल्ली हाईकोर्ट की जजमेंट है तो ये और किसी केस में यूज नहीं होगी, स्पेसिफिकली लिखा है। तो कल को अगर प्री डिपॉजिट के बारे में भी अगर बात होगी, अगर किसी को रिलीफ मिलेगी जेन्युइन केस में, तो कोर्ट का माइंडसेट ही क्लियर है कि प्री डिपॉजिट होना चाहिए। इनको हम रिलीफ दे रहे हैं, बट इट शुड नॉट बी टेकन एज प्रेसिडेंट। बाकी हम क्वेश्चन आंसर लेते हैं और
So you want to say that that should be seen on a case-to-case basis, but
Right,
what we have
right,
already discussed in respect of pre-deposit, if court has given a relief, that should not be taken as a precedent in that case, and that should be taken as on a case-to-case basis.
right.
Thank you, Rajeev ji. Now moving on to next question, I'll ask Abhishek Rajaram ji. The question is, can pre-deposit be made using the balance in the electronic trade ledger?
आईटीसी तो मेरा ही पैसा है,
Correct.
तो कहाँ मना कहाँ है, क्योंकि मेरा ही पैसा है, आईटीसी हो या कैश हो, आईटीसी इज माय राइट। मैं रिफंड ले सकता हूँ तो आईटीसी से प्री डिपॉजिट तो पे कर सकता हूँ एनीवेज। सो इन द इनिशियल इयर्स देयर वाज अ कंफ्यूजन, एंड दैट कंफ्यूजन वाज बिकॉज इट वाज मेंशन्ड इन एडजस्टमेंट ऑफ द टैक्स सेक्शन 41 में एक सबसेक्शन में लिखा हुआ था that ITC can be used only for payment of tax. उसमें amendment आई and then they deleted, so it was to be adjusted. कुछ केस लॉस आए जिन्होंने इसको मना करी, but over the period of time there were some case laws which were saying no, this cannot be adjusted. Other case laws said yes, it can be paid through ITC level. But gradually सबका mindset clear था, unless their charge is on the ITC, कि भैया आपने जो पूरा केस बनाया वो इसी बात का बनाया है कि इनका बोगस आईटीसी, अदर देन दिस देयर शुड नॉट बी एनी restriction. If I can get a refund of ITC, if I can adjust it against tax liability, then why there is restriction on this prepayment for pre-deposit? Then came with amnesty. So when we came with the amnesty, जो अभी 31 जनवरी 2024 को एंड हुई है, so usually we pay 10%, but in this amnesty they said that we will pay 12.5%. Out of this 12.5%, 20% of that 12.5%, is 2.5% was to be mandatorily paid in cash. That means for 10%, government themselves agreed that this could be pre-deposited through ITC or through cash. There is no restriction. In the scheme itself, they have adjusted. In fact, when we file an appeal and we go on the portal also, जब आप पोर्टल पर जाते हैं, you can always adjust it against whatever pre-deposit, you can adjust it on the from the ITC ledger also. You have to adjust 10%. तो कहीं भी ऐसी कोई restriction नहीं है, except I'm saying with the exception, unless and until the whole case against you or the allegations and charges against you are for bogus ITC, there is no restriction. And in fact, in the bogus ITC also, unless they block your ITC, you can very well use this for pre-deposit of.
Thank you, Abhishek. So just to summarize this answer, so there was a confusion among the taxpayers since there was a particular section which is 41(2) which says that ITC cannot be used. ITC will only be used for the payment of self-assessed tax liability, which was up to 30th September 2022, and afterwards there was amendment in the GST law, and this subsection 2 has been amended. After that, this subsection has been amended and changed, and after that there was this confusion has been there was no confusion among the taxpayers that ITC can be used for payment of pre-deposit, and that has been supported by various case laws. Correct, sir? So next question is to Rajeev ji. Can appeal filed in the GST law can be withdrawn?
The answer to it is yes. Obviously, पीछे इसके ऊपर रिफंड के ऊपर आया था, रिफंड अप्लाई कर दिया गया था, तो क्या उसको विड्रॉ कर सकते थे या नहीं कर सकते थे, तो उसको भी एनेबल करा। सिंपल एक क्लिक का बटन आता है कि आपको उसको विड्रॉ करना है, यू आर एबल टू विड्रॉ इट। बट इसमें कैच ये है कि वैसे तो जो रूल में लिखा है वो लिखा है बिफोर इशुएंस ऑफ एन ऑर्डर और ए शो कॉज नोटिस यू कैन विड्रॉ द अपील। बट प्रैक्टिकली अगर आप अपील विड्रॉ करने जाओ तो आपको एप्लीकेशन लगानी पड़ती है एक्नॉलेजमेंट इशू होने के बाद। अगर मान लो आपने आज अपील फाइल करी और 2 दिन तक कोई एक्नॉलेजमेंट इशू नहीं होती, 10 दिन तक भी नहीं होती, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, आप अपील विड्रॉ कर सकते हो। बट वंस एन APL 02 फॉर्म हैज बीन योर अपील हैज बीन एक्नॉलेज्ड, देन इट इज प्रैक्टिकली वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू विड्रॉ। तो अगर आपके माइंड में चलता है कि मेरे को विड्रॉ करके अपील डालनी है या फिर यू नो चीजें, मतलब मैंने सारे ग्राउंड्स नहीं लिए थे, क्योंकि अपील में अभी हम आगे बात करेंगे कि अपील में ग्राउंड्स लेना, एडिशनल ग्राउंड्स लेना इज नॉट दैट इजी। तो आप उसको विड्रॉ करो, 100% करो एंड देन फाइल इट अगेन, ठीक है। और सेक्शन 107 में कोई टाइम पीरियड का टाइम पीरियड आपका ओरिजिनल कर दो।
Understood. So I have one question regarding this. When you say that if we file an appeal online, we have been given an option on an online portal to withdraw. In case we have filed an offline appeal, manual appeal, so how this procedure works of withdrawing the appeal? Should we submit a letter with the tax authority saying that this appeal which we have filed manually is to be withdrawn, or how that?
सबसे पहली बात, एक अमेंडमेंट आई थी सितंबर में आई थी लास्ट ईयर रूल में, रूल 108 जो अपील का रूल है, और अदरवाइज वर्ड हैज बीन रिमूव्ड।
Okay.
So language was, earlier language was appeal can be filed electronically or otherwise. Now you cannot file manual appeal. There is an exception to it when the manual order is there. So if there is a manual order which has been issued, which is practically, I have not found a single case in last 3 months जो हम जिसके लिए बैठे हैं इसमें मैनुअल ऑर्डर है। तो अगर वैसे आपका मैनुअल ऑर्डर है भी, तो एक फॉर्म है APL 01/GST, वो फॉर्म का डाउनलोड करो, उसको मैनुअली भरो एंड देन यू कैन विड्रॉ योर अपील। बट प्रैक्टिकली नाउ मैनुअल अपील्स आर नो लॉन्गर रिक्वायर्ड, मतलब आप कर ही नहीं सकते।
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
अभी जी मैंने दिल्ली में हाल ही में कुछ अपील फाइल करी है जो मैनुअल ऑर्डर के लिए। So yes, I have seen manual order not only from GST, I have also seen manual order from GST in Delhi.
So in that case, if we have obtained a manual order, so in that case we have to file a manual application for withdrawing the appeal.
So we have to file appeal also
manually,
and we have to file withdrawal order also manually.
Okay. So since we are saying that while we have filed the manual online appeal, we will get the APL 02, which is an acknowledgement. In case of manual appeal, we will get an acknowledgement. Once we get the acknowledgement, we will not withdraw it.
No, we can withdraw it. Law does not say you cannot withdraw it. Then you need a permission.
Okay.
Can I withdraw it?
इसको थोड़ा सा सिविल प्रोसीजर में समझा देता हूँ। क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर में ये लॉ इस तरह क्यों बने जाते हैं, ये लॉ इस तरह इसलिए बनाया जाता है तो ये अपील विड्रॉल की बात हो रही है। क्या ये सिविल और क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर में माना जाता है कि जैसे आपने किसी के अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट कर दी, हालांकि ये टैक्सेशन में नहीं है, पर ये माना जाता है कि भाई आपके अगेंस्ट आपने किसी ताकतवर आदमी के अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट कर, तो वो क्या करेगा, वो आपके ऊपर दबाव डालता है, तो आप विड्रॉ कर लेते हो उसके कहने से। तो उसमें कोर्ट्स ये कहती हैं कि साहब विड्रॉ होगा जब हम अलाउ करें। अगर हमने आपके अगेंस्ट कंप्लेन एडमिट कर ली तो विड्रॉल करने के लिए भी आप मुझे जस्टिफाइड ग्राउंड दो, अगर मैंने एक्सेप्ट कर ली तो ये इस तरह की बात है, समझे। तो वो टैक्सेशन में उतना रेलेवेंस नहीं है, बिकॉज इफ आई फाइल आई एम नॉट फाइटिंग अगेंस्ट एनीवन। तो ये सिविल प्रोसीजर और क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर के कॉन्सेप्ट इंपोर्ट हुए हैं। ऑफ कोर्स टैक्सेशन मैटर्स आर सिविल मैटर्स।
Correct.
So तो वो विड्रॉल के लिए बेसिकली बात ये होती है कि वंस एन अपीलेट अथॉरिटी हैज एक्सेप्टेड योर अपील और वंस a judicial authority has accepted. Now, only if they agree that there are certain valid grounds that you can withdraw, they will allow you to withdraw. If they disallow you to withdraw, then they will pass an order on whatever conditions you have given. तो withdraw एक बार acknowledgement जनरेट हो गई आपकी, तो थ्योरेटिकल ये लगता है कि मैंने अपील फाइल करी, मैं विड्रॉ कर लूं. नो, इफ द अथॉरिटी डिसएग्री, दिस इज देयर डिस्क्रिशन. दो दे विल नेवर यूज इन टैक्सेशन मैटर, जीएसटी में यूज नहीं होंगे, वी नो दैट. लेकिन इफ दे यूज देयर डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर, तो फिर वो आपको मना भी कर सकते हैं दैट यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू विड्रॉ.
Correct. Thanks, Abhishek. So now, friends, I'll quickly highlight another few points related to GST compliance which needs to be kept in mind before the closure of the financial year. The fifth point is reporting of correct outward supply for the financial year 23-24. So, before closure of this financial year, the taxpayer is required to prepare and reconcile turnover reported in GSTR1 and GSTR3 and make a reconciliation with the books of accounts, the turnover as appearing in the books of accounts for the financial year 23. Secondly, he has to compile and reconcile the amount of taxes that have been paid in the GSTR1 and GSTR3 with the books of accounts and pay the differential tax, if any, to avoid the litigation in future. Third, he should also prepare a reconciliation of turnover reported in e-waybill or the invoices on which the e-waybill has been submitted vis-a-vis the invoices which have been reported in the GSTR1, and if there is any shortfall, he should give an intimation to the tax authorities to avoid the future risk. So these are the 2 points, and I will be discussing a few other points during this webinar. So moving on to the questions related to filing of appeal, I'll ask Abhishek Rajaramji, sir, can Appellate Authority revise the order passed by them?
The revisionary authorities are different. See, the name of the chapter where appeal comes, the name is Appeals and Revision. So appeal starts with 107 and 108 is for revisionary authority. So revisionary authority is a different authority that is appointed.
Sir, I just want to intervene. There is some sound problem in it. We will take a short break of 2 to 3 minutes and we'll fix this issue and we'll come back. So sorry for this delay. Resuming this session, I have asked Abhishek Rajaramji to answer the question, which is, can Appellate Authority revise the order passed by them? Over to you.
So there is a section 108 which talks about revisionary authority. So the revisionary authority is appointed and they have all the right to revise the order, to recall the order, but as a principle of natural justice are, if there is a negative impact on it, then that they have to give you personal hearing before passing on such order. Such orders can be passed. So for the original order, it is 3 years from the date of the original order, and for the appellate order, that is 1 year. So these revisionary authorities will always pass an order when it is clearly to the interest of the revenue. And this was in particular about this word. So in this case, an order can only be revised when it is harmful to the interest of the person. When excess RTC has been provided, or the genuine demand due to some error, the order is not the correct one. And the worst thing, what I understand about it, let's say an order is passed, let's say in December 2023. Now, let's say in June 2024, and June 2025, a new judgment comes. Then also revision authority can revise the original order. So the information which was not available on that date, or a new judgment which was not available on that date, that also can be impacted. That can be the impact of that judgment should be provided. So yes, an order passed by Appellate authority can be revised within 1 year by the revisionary authority, but before that they have to issue notice to the party and a personal hearing is needed before passing any order which is harmful to you, and then again you can become an aggrieved party.
Thank you, Abhishek ji. Moving on to the next question, this is to Vadeep ji. Does the appellate authority have the power to remand the case back to the adjudicate authority for whatever reasons?
A very, very important question. The answer is no. Section 107 says appellate authority can confirm, modify or annul the order. मतलब या तो वो confirm कर सकती है, या modify कर सकती है, या उसको quash कर सकती है. Example लेते हैं, आपने एक refund apply करा, ठीक है, और वो refund आपका reject हो गया, be it whatever it is. आप appeal में गए, and when you went to the appellate authority cannot say that the refund should be remanded back to the jurisdictional officer and he should take it again, and then if he thinks so, then he should provide. No. The appellate authority can either say yes, the refund should be granted, or they say no, the refund should not be granted, or they can modify the amount also. They can say the refund of 28 lakhs can be granted out of 32 lakhs, 4 lakhs should be rejected. So these powers can be exercised by the appellate authority, but appellate authority in any case cannot remand back. ये specified mention करा है section 107 subsection 11 में that appellate authority cannot refer back the case, cannot remand back the case to the jurisdictional officer.
Okay, thank you, thanks for this. So now friends, I'll quickly highlight another key GST compliances which needs to be kept in mind before the closure of this financial year. The seventh one would be enrollment for compensation scheme for the financial year 24-25. So GST portal has enabled the taxpayer who wish to enroll in the composition scheme for the financial year 24-25 till 31st March 2024. So all those SCs who wish to enroll in the composition scheme in the new financial year will have to enroll by 31st March of 2024. The next is in relation to filing of ITC 03 for transition to compensation scheme. So under this compliance, the taxpayers who are currently a regular taxpayer and who wishes to move or transition to compensation scheme have to file the ITC 03 within a 60 days from the commencement of the next financial year and a new financial year. So those taxpayers needs to file ITC 03 on or before the 30th May of 2025 or 24. Sorry. The next is a time limit to avail of the option to opt out from the QRMP scheme. So the taxpayers who are having a turnover of less than 5 crores have the option to select the frequency of filing the return till 30th April 2024. So if any SSC is filing a GST return on a quarterly basis as of now, will wish to have changed this frequency from quarterly to monthly, they can select that option or they can avail the option by 30th April of 2024. Now, coming back to the queries in relation to filing of appeals, my next question is to Abhishek sir. Sir, what happened if one failed to file the appeal within a statutory time limit of 3 months from the date of communication of order? And as you already highlighted in this communication that there is an extension of 1 month, I'll just add one more question to it, that if the time limit of filing the appeal of 4 months has already passed, is there any remedy available to the taxpayer?
It is the relief in these cases comes through the limitations at 90, section 5, also of limitations. The problem is GST is a system. It doesn't have a direct link with limitation set. The relief and the limitation that has not been provided in this system. And GST is a court procedure, a complete procedure in court in that sense. So when a procedure has been mentioned to submit return, so once we understand it is set to be 3 months plus 1 month extension. So 3 plus 1 month. Once we have passed, and this 1 month is not statutory right. It is always subject to that what has happened. The things are beyond your control. You have to satisfy the appellate authority. But once this 3 months plus 1 month has gone, then you should have certain reasons, grounds should be very good. Then only you can get a through a high court. High court is initial period, let's say before 6 to 8 months before, whatever judgment you gave a relief for filing. But in last 6 to 8 months, high courts are not satisfied. They say that we are not going to provide this relief under Article 220. So writs are not useful once you process 1 month. Or you should have a genuine reason. The reason should be the compelling one beyond your control. As what we have discussed 3 cases also. We have mentioned in the case of Arvind Gupta by Honorable Delhi High Court that this can only help, and this the judgment which they were providing relief was said to be that it is allowed in this case only. It should not be used as a precedent. So once 3 plus 1 month are gone, only God can help you once you provide that there are certain specific reasons. Over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek ji. My next question is to Vadir ji. Whether the appellate authorities has any powers to allow additional grounds not specified in the appeal?
So basically, if we talk about additional grounds, so everyone moves on to Rule 112, but Rule 112 does not specify about additional grounds. It specifies about additional evidence. अब 112 को invoke करने से पहले we will read the word what is mentioned in section 107 subsection 10. Section 107 subsection 10 में लिखा है if the authority may satisfy that the omission from the ground was not willful or unreasonable, then the additional ground will be permitted. Now, if we go deep into this, so basically that is a very that is what I begin with what is very important, that whenever you are filing an appeal, you should write about all the additional you should write about all the grounds which you are taking against which you are saying that you are innocent or you are defending your case. So additional grounds generally is not permitted, but appellate authority under section 107 subsection 10 may permit by they say that it is unreasonable, that it was an omission and it was unreasonable and it was not willful. So they may allow, but you are at the discretion of the appellate authority for the additional grounds. Now I will go to Rule 112. Rule 112 talks about additional evidence before the appellate authority. Now again, as I always say, I will take an example. Example लेते हैं, आपको शो कॉज नोटिस आया, and in that शो कॉज notice, the preliminary objection against you was that you have availed bogus ITC or you have availed ITC which is wrongful. So to substantiate that, in reply to that, you have submitted the bank statement, you have submitted the supplier certificate, the other things, ledgers, etc., invoices. And when you are filing an appeal to this particular point, your appellate authority says that the connivance, जो रास्ते में माल गया वो क्लियर नहीं है हमें, so for that you are producing e-way bill. Now you cannot produce an e-way bill because at first, before the jurisdictional officer, you did not produce any e-way bill. So सारे के सारे evidences before jurisdictional officer हमें देने हैं, then we can give it, we cannot give it any additional evidence to the appellate authority. अब ये कंसेप्ट भी क्रिमिनल से उठाया गया है, बट ये सिविल में भी पूरा फॉलो हो रहा है, एप्लीकेबल हो रहा है. दे आर नॉट अलाउड एनी एडिशनल ग्राउंड. अब समवन विल से कि वर्दी जी आप कह रहे हो बट हम तो अपील में तब डाल देते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल आप मान लो कि तो बहुत सारे ऑर्डर्स आए अभी, पीपल डिडंट रिप्लाई टू द शो कॉज नोटिस, ठीक है, एंड देन आल्सो वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग एवरीथिंग. So if in case we haven't replied, we haven't used our statutory right, and we haven't replied to so called notice, then we cannot raise any evidence in the appellate authority. प्रैक्टिकली आप कर सकते हो, आपको एक चीज का यूज करना है, इसमें एक्सेप्शन गिवन है. एक्सेप्शन का ऑर्डर पास विदाउट गिविंग रीजनेबल ऑपरेशन. Whenever you will prove that principles of natural justice are not followed, just because they have written that your proposed notice is not valid, just because they have written that your reply to the proposed notice is not valid, को उड़ा रहे, आपने इसको पूरी रिकवर अपॉर्चुनिटी दी, does not mean कि आपने प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस फॉलो करा. तो आप एविडेंस डाल सकते हो इसमें when you prove आपको रीजनेबल अपॉर्चुनिटी दी होगी, मेरी प्रिंसिपल ऑफ नेचुरल जस्टिस फॉलो में, तब आप डाल सकते हो. मगर अगर प्रॉपर रीजनेबल अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली तो सर आप एप्लेट में एविडेंस नहीं दे पाओगे. इट विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू प्रोड्यूस डॉक्यूमेंट्स. जैसे मैंने ई-वे का एग्जांपल दिया, अगर आपने सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स दे दिए और एप्लेट अथॉरिटी ने बोला कि आपका फाइनेंस क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, या फिर हम ये नहीं कर पा रहे कि ये माल एक्टिवली चला है या नहीं चला, एंड उसकी सपोर्ट आप ई-वे लगा रखा है, तो आप नहीं चला पाओगे इन दिस पर्टिकुलर. सो सेक्शन 107 सबसेक्शन 10 which talks about additional grounds, and rule 112 which talks about additional evidence. So additional grounds before the appellate authority, discretion है appellate authority की, जनरली नहीं मिलता. और रूल 112 एडिशनल एविडेंसेस के बारे में बात करता है कि अगर आप जुडिशियल ऑफिसर के आगे नहीं दिए तो आप आगे भी नहीं दे पाओगे. एक्सेप्शंस आर देयर व्हिच आर डिस्कस्ड. व्हाट डू यू?
I'll request both the panelists to, since we have a participants from South India as well, so I request both the participants to have a conversation moving forward. So next question is to Abhishek Rajaramji. Will the taxpayer is required to submit certified copy of the order after filing the appeal?
Answer to this is, if it is an online order, then you are not required to do, when you file an appeal, to submit any hard copy. So there is no question of submitting anything, leave alone certified copy. But when we come to this manual order, so when the appeal is filed manually against a manual order, then also amendment is made. Earlier, in old IDP law, used to get the order certified from the ward officer, the proper officer, then we used to submit it. Now the law is clear that you can go for the self-certified copy also and submit it. But for all practical purposes, I will still recommend, if you are filing a manual appeal, then please get the order certified, a copy of that order certified from the original authority who has passed the order, the proper authority. If this amendment has come probably in 2023 that you are not required, so you are allowed for self-certification. Self-certification has been allowed. But again, this question doesn't come. More than 99.98% of people are filed online. But he is saying that he has filed all of them online. I have filed almost 4 to 5 of these on a physical basis. Okay. The experience with different work in same field, but experience might be. So, and in fact, for with respect to everyone, in few of the states, when we file appeal, even in today in online scenario, for an online order also, we ask proper officer, the ward officer who has filed original order to get it certified. Because they are following the VAT procedure, where when you go with them, they cut a slip of 100 rupees, that is government charges, and they certify the order. Because unless they certify the order, the appellate authority don't take. See, this has become a procedure which few of the officers are doing VAT mindset. It would take time, okay. You know, most not till 10 a day, and we have to stay in this scenario. And we can tomorrow go and say, no, we will not follow it, the law says this. And when the appeal would be rejected, let's say, worst case scenario, appeal is rejected, you have to approach High Court and get it reinstalled. The time will go. Plus, it's a harassment, it's cost taking, time taking. So, for all practical purposes, self-certified copy is sufficient. Go for online appeal. You are not required to file anything.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhishek. The next question is to Vadeep, whether interest would be paid by the tax authorities in case of favorable order in respect of the pre-deposit which is made at the time of filing the suit?
Yes, 100%. My money, right from now there is the interest. Basically, the important thing here is you get the refund, and you get the refund at the rate of 6%. 6% interest you get, and the calculation starts from the date of payment, not from the date of order.
Okay.
So if you have paid pre-deposit on say 1st April and you get the favorable order after say 1 year, so you get the interest of 1 year that is at the rate of 6% per annum.
So from the date of depositing the pre-deposit till the date of order.
Till the date of refund.
Till the date of the
refund. Yes.
Okay.
You'll get 6% per annum refund.
So, do the taxpayer is also required to file any separate application for getting this refund?
See, section 115 I guess says about this, and there is nowhere mentioned that you are required to file a separate application. They have to refund the amount within interest.
So once we get the favorable order, that pre-deposit amount will be automatically get refunded along with it.
Yes, because there is no cost specified for this, and they haven't specified that it will be provided as per the rules, manner, prescribed. So nothing has been mentioned in this section. So that goes that you automatically get the refund. And the intention of law is very clear. If you have won the case, if you have defended your case successfully, so we have taken your pre-deposit amount, we have to refund it, obviously. And if you refund it, you'll refund it with an interest. If they take 18% interest from this, then they are liable to pay 6% as well.
On a delayed payment.
Right.
Correct. Thank you so much, Vadeep. Now I will be taking up the queries which have been shared by the participant or posted by the participants in the chat box. I'll quickly jump on the queries. So Abhinav Janji has asked, is the filing of appeal online sufficient, or do we have to submit the hard copies of the documents to appellate authority also? If yes, what to be submitted? I guess we have already answered this question that if we have filed the appeal online against the order which has been passed online, we don't have to submit any documents manually. So There is one question that show cause notice and order does not carry DST and DIN. How to address in the appeal? My question is to Abhishek ji.
Yes. So we just said while drafting ground certificate. And you all know 99.99% of notices and orders issued by at least were generated through AI, and they didn't add any GST, they didn't add what we say DIN also, nothing from there, nothing anything. But that has become a new norm. We are into social media. So yes, you can dispute it. I would say contestant on that. Otherwise, if you dispute this point, then all of the 70,000 notices which has been issued in September 2020, all of them were void as initiation.
Thank you, Abhishek.
I'll add on this in this query, very important query, and there's a judgment, Delhi High Court judgment of Paras Enterprises. It's a recent judgment. Everyone can note it, and it will be very helpful for everyone who is replying, who is drafting an appeal. See, if you have case on merit, then you can say, you should be defending it, otherwise all notices will be quashed. But now I say you don't have a case on merit. You have all the statutory right to say that the order issued is invalid, the order issued is not speaking, the order issued is traveling beyond the show cause notice. You can use everything. And in this judgment only, Paras Enterprises judgment only, it was written, the case was, in the order it was written that the reply to the show cause notice is not satisfactory. See, you cannot write just the reply to the show cause notice is not satisfactory. You have to substantiate why it is not satisfactory. Why you come to a conclusion?
The order should be speaking order.
The order should be speaking order, and the proceedings done should be valid. How proceedings done are valid? If you have raised the question that I have purchased from a cancelled dealer, then you have, and I am replying to that. You cannot say I am not satisfied and I am giving the order against you. No, you cannot do this. You have to ask me questions.
Correct.
You have to give me personal hearing. You have to give me. You have to follow all the principles of natural justice. And if you haven't done, which is in 99% cases are not done, you can write this point, and as I said in the beginning, write the words prejudice. Fight on the merits as well, fight from this point as well, that these points are not valid, this order is not valid. I am using this Paras Enterprises judgment, I am using that other judgment. There are at least 100 judgments on these points, pre-GST era also. So, use these points and without prejudice, take strong exception to the above and reply on the merits.
Thank you, Pradeep. The next question is from Vinod Sharma. This is to Abhishek sir. Is there any time limit within which the order under section 107 should be passed?
The time limit is recommendatory limit. It is 1 year from the See, the time limit can never be casted on judicial authorities or quasi-judicial authorities. Right? So therefore, the timelines are recommended. Also, when we go with CBIC internal instruction, we say that every appellate authority should pass at least or dispose of at least 100 appeals in a month. So, 100 appeals by appellate authority in a month, and recommendatory timeline is 1 year. But we have seen in many cases, in 1 year we don't even get a hearing also, we will only passing of the order. And if, let's say in Delhi, if we go with 25,000 appeals for September notices and December order, and there are only 2 appellate authorities, then it might take more than 5 years. That might be the timeline.
Thank you, Abhishek sir. Next question is to Pradeep ji. How to define a case where ITC has been disallowed on the grounds of section 64, that is cancelled dealer, retrospective cancellation of vendor, where transactions done by us are genuine and all other subclauses of section 16 are followed?
Sir, in my view, you can 100% defend this case. How you can defend it? Just because the person from you have purchased is cancelled suo moto from that date does not mean you have to reverse that. So I am saying me how to defend the case. You should defend the case by writing that I have followed section 16, 17 subsection 5. My ITC is allowed. Nowhere it has been mentioned that if the person from whom I have purchased is cancelled suo moto, my ITC is disallowed. You should write that when I made a transaction with this person was active, very much active. These are the points you can take. The other points you can take is the show cause notice is invalid. Why it is invalid? Because you have just mentioned that you have purchased from cancelled to a motor dealer and hence you have to reverse the sale. There are many cases, many practical cases in which the reversal was not required because the dealer which was cancelled is because of that fact that he has not filed returns for the last 6 months.
Correct.
So you can defend the case and 99.9% will win also. But now I will talk about practicality. If there is a cancel to a motor case, either it is, you know that it is genuine or not genuine.
Correct.
Everyone knows it. Even the officer knows it, even the SSC knows it, and even the consultant knows it, that this transaction is genuine. Or this transaction is not genuine. If this transaction is genuine, I have not seen a single case तो अगेंस्ट दिया है. हाँ, अगर आपने सही से हैंडल नहीं करा तो अगर एक कंसल्टेंट ने सही से हैंडल करा है, he has handled it nicely, then he has won everything. But there have been cases when they are not able to give the I have taken cases from I have done cases from against anti-evasion also, DGPI also. They give you the whole trail. See, this is not functioning. The e-way bill you have mentioned is, the truck number you have mentioned is not on this route. The e-way bill is invalid. And the major point is the dealer is not in this case. वो टूथब्रश भी बेच रहा है, वो चाय भी बेच रहा है, वो पेपर भी बेच रहा है, वो सब कुछ कर रहा है. So in these cases, it is very difficult to defend. But if the transaction is genuine, you will be able to defend, and you should take points like section 16 that you have followed the entire section 16. You should give all the grounds, and you should give to Ramana say that the notice is vague and issued without application of money. And one last point I would like to add is, exception is section 75 subsection 7. This is again a general across globe concept, and it is not included, it is also included as well, which says an order cannot travel beyond proper notice. So clients have received notices saying it is a cancel to a motor, and you reply to the assessing officer or the regional office, and in that case you lost the case. Okay, your transactions were not genuine, and in order they have written that it is not found existent.
Correct.
Then you should take point section 75 subsection 7 that this order is beyond proposed notice. You haven't given me the opportunity. This entire proceedings is invalid. Don't know fighting upon the point that I have actually purchased it, I have actually made a transaction, you lost the case. In that case, you should take 75 subsection 7. You said that you should not mention, you didn't mention these points in proposed notice. How can you mention these points in the order? So this is also a very important concept.
So, Vagir, should we take this as an alternative ground or a main ground?
Sir, you should take every ground and you should write each and every submission of mine is without. Okay. So each ground is important. Each ground is a main ground. Nothing is alternative ground.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So we are also seeing these kind of cases in our case. So, but we have practically seen that the officers at the below level are not accepting these our submissions, whether we are giving them a case laws or legal jurisprudence, but they are not accepting our submission, and they are saying that if you want to get relief, you may file. So how to deal with these kind of situations?
So you cannot do it. if a person is not listening to you, you cannot do anything. The max you can do is you can file an appeal, you can file a complaint against the officer that the proceedings are not doing correctly, but that will also not harm him. That will also not do good to you. The best thing you can do is you can collect all the evidences and you can go to the appeal. You cannot force anyone to know, these are appeal before or they do. No, that's his mind.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
See, if ward officer start to listen to each of your arguments, then why do we have first appellate authority? And you are saying that your ward officer is not listening to you.
Yes.
He has not given you benefit of these case laws. Let me take it further. What if the first appellate authority doesn't give you relief? See, that's why we have tribunals. That's why we have high court. If all of your grounds, if you feel that they are going to be accepted at the ward level, then why don't you have appellate authority? और भैया अगर आप ही सब कुछ कर लोगे तो मेरे पे केस कहां से आएंगे? Where I will go? I bread and butter is with tribunal.
My next question is to Abhishek sir. Will bank guarantee will be accepted by the Commissioner Appeal as a pre-deposit?
No, that's not in the law.
Okay, thank you. I think maximum questions we have answered in this chat box. So friends, since we have already running past our scheduled time, thank you to both our panelists. I would like to conclude this webinar and thank you Vadeep ji, Abhishek ji for giving your valuable time and enlightening us with the practical insights of filing the appeal under GST law. And we will look forward to have these kind of discussion in future as well. And thanks Team Taxo for organizing this seminar or webinar. And thank you so much.